listening to this exciting episode of the Data Science Club. We're thrilled to welcome a very special guest, Nate. Nate is the co-founder of Pari, an open source AI code editor, and currently part of the White Combinator Fall 2024 batch. I'm happy to tell Nate with over 150K subscribers, and was previously a software engineer at 2 Sigma. Nate earned both his bachelor's and master's in ECE from CMU, graduating in 2023. We're very excited to have Nate today to share experiences and insights. So please join me in giving a warm welcome to Nate.
Oh, god damn, there's a lot of people. Cool. Thank you for coming. And yeah, thanks for the very warm intro. Shout out to Data Science Club. Okay. Well, today, I actually just saw that the title is like about YC, which is actually hilarious because I'm currently just got canceled because of YC, and of course I can talk about that. Well, so I'm making Pari, it's an open source AI code editor, and I mean, let me just gauge it. How many people know about this cancellation thing I'm talking about? Raise your hand. Okay, yeah. So I can talk all about it, and then I have like I compiled a list of things that I think would be somewhat of my advice, and you can like take it as you will. And then after that, we can do like a Q&A on anything that you guys want, like startup stuff, YouTube stuff, or just like what to do at CMU. And yeah, hopefully I can help. So it's actually pretty funny about the whole cancellation stuff. So first, get into YC. Long story short, we are a fork of VS Code and Continue. And we've been saying this from the beginning. And I think for the cancellation stuff, it's like people see fork and they're like, oh, you copied code. And I see their point if it's just copying and you're like done. But I feel like for most of the people hating on Twitter, they just like don't know that I think we should be judged on what we do after that. It's like, you know, you fork something and you do stuff after, and you should be judged like very fairly on what you do after that and trying to make some kind of innovative thing. And so, yeah, I feel like people just don't know. Like for me, I'm willing to devote my entire life if I have to, and if people want an AI code editor, like, I don't know, spend years on it, and then the forking stuff becomes less and less relevant each time until it's unrecognizable. So yeah, hopefully, I feel like the cancellation stuff is whatever. And okay, so yeah, are we supposed to talk? Or am I supposed to just Do
you want to like ask some questions? Do you want students to ask you questions? Anything?
Okay, yeah, I think we can get to the questions in a bit. I think most people, correct me if I'm wrong, want to hear about like the entire startup thing, like journey, and like how to get into YC, or...
Yes, I think students are interested in like how to get into YC and also how to be successful during CMU and after CMU.
Okay, sounds good. I have a million things to say. So getting to YC, right? I would say that you have to just be the kind of person that they would believe would succeed in a startup. Like, we apply with Pari, and you know, like the whole forking thing, like we told them, but they don't really care about that. They care about, they're not investing in who you are, or sorry, they're not investing in what you're doing, they're investing in who you are. So, yeah, I think like the story with YC is that I actually applied 3 times, and I was rejected twice, 2 times, and I think that it actually helps if you apply and get rejected because, I don't know, it kind of shows that you're really wanting to do it, and as well as you can persevere even if you get rejected. Okay, so most people want to do a startup, right? But the really hard thing is like, what do you do? Maybe the idea, and that's like tangential to who you are as a person. So I can talk about the improving yourself later on, but in terms of the idea, I would say that during YC, one thing I kind of learned is that there's really 2 types of successful startups, okay? One is like a really new hard tech thing. For example, there's a company that's like measuring the waves. When you send waves into like a rock, it can like find diamonds because of this like new technology with AI, and they like are specialists in geology and stuff like that. And then there's another company doing like satellite stuff. So these are like new things, and it's like called hard tech. So this sector, I would say, when I think about it, it's like a lot harder because you have to be, for lack of better words, like you have to be one of two things. You have to be somewhat on the spectrum, which YC always says that if you're on the spectrum, you're probably better off. You have a higher chance of succeeding, but you're on the spectrum, and or you're like obsessed with a certain thing. And for me, and most probably people I've seen you, you're only one of those two things. I won't say which one I am. And then the next type of startup, right, is I think you should follow a plan. It's called proven, better, new. So to have a successful startup, you want to go into a space that's like somewhat proven. Like, you know, people are willing, or people want something in this space. For me, like, it's pretty obvious, like code editors. You know, people like code editors, I would say, and there's a lot of room for improvement. So that's the first one, proven. And then the second one is better. So somehow you need to have some sort of insights and like something that you only know to make it better, and then new. So and then after that, if you add something new to this like idea that you have or some product that you have these three things, you pretty much are set, or at least on a good path to succeed on a startup. Okay, we can take questions on that in a bit, but right now I'm just gonna list out some like wisdom things that I have to say and take it as you will. So the first one is that I think exceptional people get rewarded disproportionately just in life. So it depends if you want to believe this or not, but like this is like a stem of like why. I mean, I feel like part of why I work really hard is because like if you're exceptional, like you never have to worry about competition or things as much because you get rewarded a lot. You can just see it in like maybe even YC. It's like before YC, we were really like we were burning through a lot of money on OpenAI credits, right? We were having this free trial thing, and once you get into YC, first you get money, you get like funding, but then you also get a ton of credits for everything. Like you never need to worry about the credit stuff anymore. But it's like kind of backwards because when you get the funding, you don't need these free credits anymore because you had money to pay for it. So it's kind of like a, you know, if you're exceptional, you just get like disproportionately rewarded. So yeah, that's like a core of like now maybe you want to be exceptional, right? And then the question is like how do you become like better or try to be exceptional? And so I think the first one is that at CMU, you should try to detach from like end goals, end results, and just focus on what you can control. For example, you have a final, and you can be spending all night like worrying about the final score that you're gonna get, but that's out of your control, right? The only thing in your control is how many hours you spend studying productively, and so that's the only thing you should be focusing on. Like, don't even worry about the score. Like, whatever happens, happens. Just know. At least you can say like, you know, I spent X amount of hours studying this, and like, it might work. It might not work once. Like, you might fail the first test, but like, if you just kind of adopt this mindset, I feel like good things come. Okay. The next one is that right now in college, like the big thing I was focusing on is like, what do I find to be more fun that other people find to be work? I think like in terms of competition, you kind of escape all competition when you are doing something that doesn't feel like work. Can be anything. Like for me, honestly, it was making YouTube videos because, you know, a lot of people feel like, oh, I spent so long editing this, and for them, like, you know, and I guess just for me, it's like, I can't wait to edit this video and put it out. So like, just take that idea and like, extrapolate it over 6 years, and it's like only the ones that are actually enjoying it are probably gonna be sustainable enough to have some kind of success. So I would say try to find something that you find to be fun and honestly that you would do for free, because that is like very true to you, and it's gonna be different for everyone, but that's my advice. And okay, the next one is like, all right, that's cool, not everybody wants to have a passion, but how do you find this passion, right? And the core of all of this is that action will always produce information. So like if you're just wondering like, oh, I don't know what to do, and you just don't do anything, you're never gonna find it. But if you are like actually like doing stuff that maybe you don't like, maybe you go rock climbing, you're like, rock climbing sucks, but at least you learn something about that. And it's the same thing, like you do this over 4 years and eventually you're gonna find something that you like the most. Okay, bear with me, I'm almost through this. Okay, at CMU, I 100% recommend you take 17 to 14. Like, it's the most important class I've taken. I've taken like every EC class there is, and like they're all helpful, but 17 to 14 is the most golden class. Okay, the next one is that if you want, you should play Polytopian. Elon Musk said that like it changed his life and like it just taught him a lot. I 100% agree. I feel like I could attribute at least 20% of getting to YC because I played Polytopia. And so maybe, tonight it's like 2 to 4 players game, and maybe you go with your roommates and just play, and I think it'll just teach you a lot. And I won't spoil it, but it's just like teaching you a lot about life and how to compete or prepare for things. Okay, the next one is that honestly, when you're at CMU, you should focus on like who you're around rather than what you're doing. You want to be around people that like you want to be somewhat like, right? Like if this guy is I don't know, somewhat like maybe he's really funny and you want to be like super funny with him, you should hang out with him instead of studying alone. You should study with him. Maybe he sucks at the course. It does not matter. You should just be around people that you want to be more like. And there's a time and place for everything. Maybe you like hang out with him outside of class or him or her outside of class. But honestly, like I'm like 2 years out of CMU, right? And I remember a lot of what I learned, but much more I remember like who I was around when I was like grinding 213 in the basements of I was in SIGAP, so SIGAP, and yeah, it's like that matters a lot more because after that, it's like the connections. I don't want to be like all businessy, but it definitely helps if you're just around people you want to be like, because that'll make you, like I have like a super funny friend, and actually like he made me funnier, and by that my YouTube video was funnier, and it's just I think that's a good cycle to have. Okay, and the last one is that everybody's unique, so you should, if you want to like succeed, maybe on the internet, maybe just in real life, you should play into like what makes you unique, and it could be anything. Like some people say, oh, watching reels is a waste of time, but if you think, or I guess Mr. Beast wrote some like hiring guide or something like that, and he was like, I only hire people that love cartoons or still love cartoons because they just are more like either funny or lighthearted, and I 100% agree. I think that I'm like max brain rot probably out of anybody, and I think that actually somehow helps in what I want to do. Even startup stuff, like just I don't know. Yeah, I think you should. So for me, it's like I love watching cartoons or whatever, like JoJo or Saki K, and so like you shouldn't like try to be someone that's not. Like I could try to be like super serious and like read all these business books, but that's just like not me, right? And I think that a lot of people in college just try to fit themselves into something they think is good, but actually what's good is just being more authentic. Okay, that is the spiel. I think we can talk about more about what any of you guys want to. I can answer questions, and I am a bit of a yapper, so if I go on for like 10 minutes on an answer, Jay just cut me off.
Okay, thank you so much for the speech. Now let's have like a Q&A session with students. I'm pretty sure a lot of students like questions related to your startup, like white school, or it could be your YouTube channel, and how to be successful at being a leader. Yeah, so now we'll take questions.
How would you recommend networking? What strategies would you use?
Wait, is someone talking or is okay, I can't.
Mike is.
Yo, just have them.
I'll just read. You want to come up or not?
How would you recommend networking? What strategies would you use? How do you strengthen the connection?
Strengthen connections. Is that? That's a good question.
How do you recommend networking and strengthening connections?
Okay. The way you do that is to not think about it like networking. Like you can go to. Trust me, I was in your guys' shoes. I was at the career fairs, and I was like, oh, this is like what I've been doing and whatever. Talking to recruiters. I guess that's somewhat networking. So there's that. There's like professional networking, and then like in your class, I don't know, networking. In both settings, you should not think of it as networking. You should never. I think if even in your mind, you're like, oh, I'm gonna like network with this person because she's good at something. Like I meant it in a way that's more natural. It's just like you like to be around people that you want to be like naturally. So it's just like that. It's like it's a thing of not having any outcome come out of it type thing. It's like you should not talk to anybody thinking like, okay, this is like networking for an end result. Because even if you can hide it 100% or something like that, it's always gonna come out some way, and the person's just gonna be like, what the hell's wrong with this guy, right? So I would say just the way you network is to not want anything out of it. Like just talk to people, like that's good, and then not want anything from them. If anything, the best way to network is to only want to give to other people. Like, I think the reason why I'm here is like I actually just want to talk to people that were somewhat in my shoes 4 years ago, and maybe at least one person would get something out of it. And I think that mindset will actually put you in a place somehow, like it's not very logical, but it puts you in a place where you actually end up with a lot of good friends and a lot of good, relationships. And the way you strengthen it is just to just maybe keep trying to, like, don't be like a people pleaser, but just like, okay, two things. One is that you have to be someone that they want to hang out with too. It has to be both ways. So like they want to you want to hang out with them because they're funny. Maybe you gotta be somewhat funny too. Just like be yourself. And yes, I think that is what I have to say about it. I don't know if it's exactly answers your question.
That sounds great.
Okay, let me put my. Okay.
Also, if nobody has questions, you can just say a topic, and I will just tell you everything about it.
Yo, Jay, I have a question. I got one. That's all right.
All right.
Okay, we'll take another question.
Hey, what's up, man? Thanks for giving me time.
Oh, this is a mic.
Oh, that's the mic.
Here.
There we go. So long story short, I'm wondering how your success in your personal brand by producing content has translated into like more business traction with your startup with Pear. And if you see any like direct line of value, or if mainly it's just luck by increasing your surface area of connections.
Yeah, great question. So for me, yes, I think that it does like help a lot. It's honestly, if I think about everything that has placed me into getting to YC, most of it is like, I met Pan, my co-founder, Frying Pan. He has like a lot more subscribers than me and everything, and he's super goated. So I only met him because I also made videos. So that's like one thing that came out of it, and then another thing is like, probably because I'm working on like the code editor stuff, the distribution really helps. And I would say that honestly, it's only possible, and I see this with a lot of people that do YouTube as well. Like, I guess before this I was living in New York, and I was like around all the people that make Instagram reels and YouTube videos, and I only saw one thing in common for all the ones that I think were either sustainable, happy, and successful. And it's that they would do it for free. And then, like, of course, everybody likes having like perks for stuff like that, but I think at the core of it is that even if you didn't have any perks, would you still do it? And if the answer is yes, and this goes for anything. Content, I think, is just most highly leveraged right now because like all Gen Z is chronically online. But yeah, it's like somehow if you're able to do something for free, then you get all the stuff that you would have paid for from it. But it's like a catch-22, right? Like maybe then you only did it because you were expecting the stuff, but like you know yourself the best. So I would say listen to like what you honestly feel, and that would probably get you further in terms of either content or anything. And short answer for that question is I 100% encourage the person that asked the question, if they're thinking about making content, like definitely just do it. It's gonna, for all of these things, it's going to start off bad, no matter what. There's no way around starting off bad. Like my first videos are literally the worst videos I've ever seen. And that is a given, right? So knowing that's a given, you just have to like get through that part. And action produces information, like I said before, so you probably learned something that you didn't know before doing it. So I 100% encourage if you want to do content.
Awesome. We'll take the next question. I'll come up.
Wait, Jai, I can just speak into my phone because it won't echo.
Oh, okay.
Hello, how are you?
Grace is a genius. This is so much better. Thank you. Hi, good. How are you?
I'm good. I was wondering if I could get the LinkedIn connection.
well, yes, but that's another thing. Like LinkedIn connections mean nothing. Like I don't know.
I know. I just want to show off.
I got you, man. Just tell Jay your name, and I'll accept it.
Sounds good. Thank you. Good.
Thank you.
Crazy.
Awesome. A new connection.
Hi, I'm a big fan. I know I watched your reel about putting your 300K using on job to pursue your startup. But obviously, that's a very difficult decision. How did you go about making that? And also, could I get your LinkedIn too?
All right. I have a new thing that we're gonna do. Everybody that asks a question, I will add them on LinkedIn. There we go. So now you gotta ask a question. Anyways, okay, yes. So I was at 2 Sigma and I quit. Okay, so it's a bit different, right? Because when I was sitting at your guys' seats, I would not like even imagine myself getting into 2 Sigma actually. So it's very different. It's like time changes like a lot. So I remember when I was sitting on your seat and I was like, man, I can barely get a job at I don't know. I don't want to name it. I just could barely get a job, and I was like, okay, well, shit, this is fucked. And I guess okay, so yeah, like 2 Sigma, getting that, it was definitely a grind, and like it was something that I really wanted, and I got it, and I worked there for like a year and a half, and then after a year and a half, so it's like this is like a totally different mind frame, right? Because like now I already did it for a year and a half. It's like think of yourself as a sophomore at CMU, like when you're at OB, you're like, oh, this is like crazy, but then like junior year, you're like, man, it's blizzard outside again, like that shit's, Pittsburgh sucks. So that was like me at 2 Sigma, right? I was like, man, this shit sucks. Like I'm just coding to make rich people richer. And so when you're at that mindset, then it's a lot easier to leave. And I think like at the core, like when I graduated CMU, I knew I wanted to do a startup, just because it's like it's innovative, and I think that it's just more fun. And so yeah, for that, honestly, if anybody here wants to do startup stuff, like you can go the route of just going to the startup stuff, and that's fine. Like a lot of people do that, and they're very successful. But I think for me, and it depends on your personality. For me, I kind of have like an ego. Like, I don't. Like, I was like, man, like my parents like want me to be super successful and like all these things, and their metric is different than my metric. So, so for me, it's like my plan was to go to the best company I could go to for the like 2 years, and because of that, I think it actually helped me a lot on my startup, because when I work with Pan, it's like the ego is gone, because I mean, I'll just talk about you guys. Like, if you do this, then you already worked at a company, and you're like, all right, like I've proven myself. I have nothing left to prove. So like, Pan tells me, oh, this is like kind of wrong. Like, if I had an ego, I'd be like, no, I don't want to be wrong, and like this is like I'm gonna be stuck to this idea because I want to have an ego. But now it's like, okay, like I already worked at 2 Sigma, like I have nothing to prove, so it's like, oh yeah, maybe this is wrong, and like let's just make it better. Like there's nothing clouding me or Pan's judgments when it comes to it. And I think I see a lot of like early founders, because I'm in YC right now, right? And like a lot of them are like college dropouts, and they kind of have an ego. They're like, they want to like prove something, or they are like defensive when maybe like they have a conflict, and that's like a big reason for co-founder fallouts, which is probably the #1 reason startup fails after getting funding. So yeah, I yapped again. That's my answer. Oh, one more thing is like, for that, before this question, it's like, I say, oh, sorry, can you mute very slowly? Thank you. Okay, yeah, the thing about me saying, like, I was in your seats thinking, like, oh, I can't get a job, like, honestly, like, I hope to kind of, like, either motivate or, like, inspire some of you guys, like, that are here today, because, like, at CMU, there's times where I was, like, very discouraged, I would say. It's like, man, like, this is, I don't know about like a lot of things, and like I would say that if you like the stuff I said in the beginning is like, I honestly feel like you kind of listen to that somewhat, you'll just find that a lot of things work out, and you can like be much better than me. Okay, that's all.
Wait, before you unmute, can you come closer up front? I think you're a little too close to the computer.
Is this good?
Good enough?
Okay, I got 2 questions. My first question is, do you know anyone who got into why dispatch without a co-founder, just like a single founder? And the second is, how far was your demo? Like before YC?
Yeah, I can mute that really quickly. So, really good question. There are some people that got into YC as a solo founder, but I would say it's like very hard and very rare. Maybe in my batch there's like 1 or 2, and even though those people, okay, there's like 2 or 3. But even those people, they're like, we're gonna fund you, but like you should find a co-founder. And also for me, the first time I applied, I was solo. And they also told me, they're like, your idea is great. It was for AI generated ebooks for like education sector. And they're like, this is good, like this could work. But we're not gonna fund you if you don't have a co-founder. So they put me in the co-founder matching and stuff. And I mean, I feel like I was not gonna. I think the vibe is much better with a friend because it's just like an adventure together. And so yeah, that's what I have to say about that. Like, if you're thinking about doing solo founder, honestly, just deprioritize that and prioritize getting a co-founder. That's what I would say. Of course, not to knock anybody doing solo founder. I'm sure you can make it work, but I'm trying to like reduce the path of friction for you. And the second question is how far along were we? Okay, so like the first time we applied, I applied 3 times. So the second time was the first time with Pari, and we barely had a demo. Like it was okay, and they actually were like, what they told me and Pan were like, okay, if you can get, I think like 50 users within the end of the month, we'll give you funding. Like this is after the interview, and we were like, oh okay. And at that point, me and Pan were still grinding, like we're grinding YouTube more, and we were like, man, we have an Asia trip to go to, and we're gonna film content in Asia, and that was not the most productive. Like I don't know why we thought that would be productive, but we did that instead. But then after that, we actually launched, and then like we had we spent like 3 months on this product, like making it actually good. I'm gonna plug it later, so yeah, try it out later. But essentially, the second time around, I already had quit my job, which like they actually care about. Like that's like the biggest signal that you actually are about this life. And the second one is that we already launched and had a usable product. And at that point, like we were talking to my other friends that were in YC, and they were like, yeah, like you quit and you have a working, like a launch product with users, like you're definitely not, you're probably like set. So yeah, I think that those 2 factors were huge. Yeah. I have heard of people that have gotten in just based on like an idea, but I think the frame of mind that you should have when you're applying to these places is like you should not be shooting for like the bare minimum to get in, right? You should be shooting for much higher so that there's no way they can like reject you, and then like whatever happens, like in reality usually you get something less than that. But even when you're getting less than that, at least like you have a better chance of getting funding.
Okay, let's take another question. You have a question, right?
Yeah. That was it, by the way. Yeah, I'm done.
Yes, we're going to take another question.
Just making that weird sound. It doesn't work. Just look in the front. Okay.
Oh, I think you.
Hey. I know you mentioned that you teamed up with Pam, who you met through YouTube. How did you actually end up deciding on working with him? What factors went into that decision?
Okay, so this is a big one. I think that a core trait of anybody that I would work with is their say and do ratio. So like what percentage of what they say they're gonna do they actually do? And this is something like I pride myself into. It's like pretty much anything I say, like I will at least attempt to do. Like I'll just like, it might take a while, but I'm gonna do it. And then like it might take a while. It should not be that long. It should be pretty fast. But Pan is like exceptional because his say and do ratio is like 100%. I don't think he's ever said something that he hasn't done. And I've known him for like 2 years, so that's like the main thing. And then in terms of like deciding on to do Pari, so remember the thing about like proven better than you, and also like having some sort of insight. Like you need to be able to shout your idea from the top of a mountain and be okay with that because you have something that you know or like are in that nobody else really does. For example, some people, and this is like can be anything that you do, which is why I was saying like you should try to be like authentic and unique. Maybe you love League of Legends, right? And you wanted to do startup too. People are like, oh, this guy's wasting his time playing League of Legends, but actually, you know something that's so niche and insight into something like a community, maybe like Twitch streaming or something like that, that really nobody else would understand like you do. So that's like the seed of an idea, right? So for me and Pan, this is also not luck. Like an idea just doesn't come to you. You have to go find the problems that people want in the world to be solved. So the first one is like we were making YouTube videos and we had a bunch of like YouTube making friends. So like the brand deal part of that was like super annoying. You have to have an agency and they take like 20% and they're just terrible. So we were like, okay, let's try to make a agency platform where you can just, influencers can see brand deals and brand deals can see influencers and they can like just make deals like that. And so that was our first idea. And we were just like, all right, this is great and all, but I guess, well, one, our unique insight wasn't that good because we were like tech YouTubers, so it's like super niche. Like for something like that, you gotta be like, I don't know, like some beauty influencer probably. Like that's why like that person would have much more unique insight than us. So like we're already playing a losing game. And then for code editors, it's like perfect because I'm obsessed with coding. And Pan also loves coding too, and his entire audience is coding, and he's very good at talking. So yeah, he can pretty much convince most people to use that, and that's how we decided to do Pari and also work together.
Our questions?
Hi. How did you find your passion for creating Pari? Like, did you have a vision for creating an AI-powered code editor specifically, or your goal was to create a product?
That's a good question. I would honestly put it at 50-50. 50%, I know I just want to make a startup. And also, startup is different. It's like it's a business. It's not really, like the product can be exchanged with a lot of stuff, and the startup stuff, core things, it's like somewhat the same. And 50% is like code editors. The reason why we do this is because we have like a mission, right? Like nothing really matters unless like you have some sort of bigger goal with what you're trying to do. So I always like people to just be able to make what they want to make, or maybe something that excites them. Like I love building projects, right? So that's like our main mission. It's like code editor, like that's one way to get there. And with AI, it's like, the space is going more and more, like code is higher level. You know a little bit of code and you can make this much. And with AI, this amount of code and you can make like much more. And this scale, if you know this much amount of code, like now you can just like make something crazy. Like you can make something like what used to take 10 engineers to make, and just one engineer. So the main part of it is like the overall mission. I'm passionate about the mission. I'm also passionate about code editors. Like it's all under the same umbrella. But for you, if you're looking for advice, it's like have some core mission that you really believe in. It's like for me, it's enabling people to make what they want to make. And then Pan is also like on a similar vein, but he loves like entrepreneurship. So he's like, oh, I want everybody to be able to like be their own entrepreneur slash like have their own business and just work for themselves. So like we have like pretty aligned goals in terms of this stuff, and also like me and Pan's value system is I would say insanely similar, so it helps a lot.
Hi, I was wondering how you guys make money and how do you reach out to customers? And also, why seed helpful for your startup?
Okay, so first, how do we make money? I should talk a bit about Pari. So Pari is an open source AI code editor, and pretty much if you're going from VS Code, it's like you probably are all tapping a lot with ChatGPT, so pretty much it's just all integrated into one editor, right? And let's say you're using Copilot. Copilot, you can ask a question about like how to make a button, but it does not have like full context or full knowledge of your code base. So with Pari, like if you ask it how to make a button, it's pretty much like asking how to make a button within my project. So it'll know like how you make buttons before, like what kind of color scheme you're in, and it'll just like make you that button as if you were to write it yourself. So it's like the idea is that it would do what you would have done or better. And with Copilot, it's like kind of help you try to make what you want to make, and then with this, it's does it for you. And then the next level is like Cursor. So why Pari over Cursor? So Cursor is making a huge. I'm gonna get to the question of this. My bad. I gotta plug this real quick. So Cursor is solving a huge one-size-fits-all problem, right? It's like, okay, we have code generation, we have text box, we have this RAG implementation or like code-based knowledge, but this is not a one-size-fits-all problem. There's a lot of other companies solving each specific part of the AI tech stack or whatever you need in AI. For example, one is like code generation. So what Pari is, it's like a curated inventory of all the best AI tools. So one of them is Continue, is like our chat, and then we have another product, our integration right now, which is Aider, which is on the market is the best code generation on like the benchmarking thing like that. So you can literally just ask it, oh, make me this new thing, and it'll make it better, or make it for you. And I would say that's better than the competitors because we're powered by Aider, which is like they're a company spending all their time and effort into perfecting this, and have already proven themselves to be better than competitors. So there's that too. And Pari solves a lot of problems that other people don't. Like up-to-date information, we integrated Perplexity, which is another best AI-powered tool, and it has up-to-date documentation. So like every request that you make, it'll have like the most up-to-date documentation, and it won't error out because your library is the most up-to-date. So how do we make money then? Because this is all open source, right? It's like you can bring your own API key, and that's fine. And we actually encourage that. Like, if you want to use your own API key, for context, what that means is that you go to ChatGPT's website and you're like, I want to pay you $10 so that I can use, I don't know, X amount of credits on your LLM. After this, maybe tell me if what I'm saying is like total. You guys are understanding what I'm talking about. Anyways, so you can do that. The problem with that is that it's tedious. Like you need to keep track of every token. Like how you're being charged is by token. So every request that you make, it's like you can. It's like based on the amount of tokens you put, that's how much you pay. Okay, so then people run out of tokens and people have to like refill it, and people are like, oh, I'm gonna make this really long request, it's gonna cost me. So Pari has hosted servers so that, well, one, it's just convenient. You just open up the app and it'll just work. If you guys try it, it'll work for free because we have a free trial. You guys can take my money. It's out of our bank account, so go for it. And like it's no longer on a token basis. So like you make a request and it's not like, oh, this request actually costs you money. It's like you pay $15 a month and like you have pretty much unlimited usage, and you probably won't ever hit our limit. And that's how we make money because we have our own hosted servers. And like it's just it's a convenience thing. And in terms of business model, I would say it's pretty good because it's a product that's good. People are willing to pay for convenience, and we encourage anybody to use the own API key also. Does that make sense? Okay, cool.
Hi, how are you? I was wondering, where do you see yourself, see your company in like 5 years? Are you guys looking to expand, do new products, hire interns?
Yeah, I mean, like my aspirations, or I guess both of our aspirations for this is to be the next like $1 billion company, right? think that it's very, very possible. Our competitors are already like worth $500 million, so don't see why the space isn't big enough for multiple of them, or yeah, hopefully, I mean, another thing with this is like, I actually just want the best AI code editor to be in the world because of what we're doing. I know it sounds like I don't know, maybe if I heard this from someone else, I'd be like, man, this guy, fuck this guy, what is he talking about? It sounds fake, but like, honestly, like, it doesn't even have to be Pari. Like, if a result of my efforts results in maybe the other competitors like doing so well that it's like I get to use a better code editor, then that's like, I don't know, a win in my book as well. Of course, it'd be nice if it's Pari, but and we're trying our best. I would say the reason why we're doing this is because like it's like people are, you know, when you have other people washing dishes and they're like not getting it as clean, but they wash dishes. It's like I feel the same way about this space. It's like, man, like let me just do it. Like I can do it better. So I'm just gonna wash all the dishes and make it actually clean. And so from that, yeah, I mean, I'm willing to spend like 20 years to get this to work. And it's only contingent on if people actually want it, right? Like if nobody wants this product, like then there's no reason for it to be made, and we'll do something else. But until we see that very clearly, then we will just keep doing this. And when we are somewhat big, we will definitely hire interns for sure. And I love CMU, so I will definitely hire a lot of people.
Yes.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, what's up?
I just want to ask, is your AI today, you mentioned from the very beginning? So have you ever pivoted to other types of use? Yes. How did you resolve all the frictions every time you pivot?
Yeah, so is it how I imagined in the beginning? No, actually, because I was thinking that we would not be integrating anything, that we would just like have a open source version of like our competitors, pretty much, and just keep building on that. But it's well, one, so yeah, like short answer is no, and I think that at each step of the way, it's like our product vision somewhat changes, right? Because the space changes, like these LLMs are changing, there's like new products and new ways to do these things, and we need to be adaptable because we just want the person to be able to make what they want to make. Like that's our end goal. So whatever it takes to get there, like that's what we should do. And that is always changing. And it's hard to predict. So let's say like adaptability is the main part. And in terms of like the big change that we made, especially with all this controversy, it's like people were like, oh, okay, you fork continue and like you guys are stealing code and everything. And we're like, well, first we've been talking about this like 4 months now, and like, well, okay, I got PR to not say anything about this, so I can't say anything. But in terms of the pivot, yeah, it's like we obviously needed to have a differentiator from our competitors, right? Like people ask us why Cursor, and it's like, all right, well, we're open source, and from B2C, they don't, like, nobody gives a shit about it. I guess some people do, right? But that's more B2B. Like businesses really love open source, but consumers are like, man, just give me the best product. And so we still had no differentiation, and so we needed to change something, right? Like everything, the only people that can like save us from anything is ourselves. So we have to change something. And so what we changed is like, listen, there's a lot of these companies that are doing better at each stage of whatever coding with AI takes, like AI with code generation. And like why, if a user just wants to make what they want to make, and we want to provide the best UX possible, we should integrate these. And maybe that, you know, they're changing all the time because this AI tech marketplace is so hard to keep up with. Like nobody really knows what's the best at any given time except people that are super into it. like me and Pam, yeah, that was a pivot. So, or not a pivot, it's like a bit of a change. But now we actually have a differentiator because of something that we were able to adapt to. And yeah, I think this is like one of many changes to the product that we're gonna see. So probably in next year is gonna be something completely different, but the core is still the same. It's like a code editor that people can make what they want to make. We're just trying to give the best user experience.
Awesome. We'll take one more question.
Hi, thank you for talking to us. My name is Rishi, and I was hoping maybe you would tell us more about how you got into Two Sigma. Like what kind of interview prep did you do? How did you apply to the internships before? And like when did you do that? What internships did you apply to? And also, you did a dev role, but like for people that want to get into quant trading, what have you heard those people doing? So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So how to get into Two Sigma? It's like what grade are you in, by the way? What year are you?
I'm a freshman.
Okay, so you're
looking to see the path.
Okay, yeah. So that's like really good. So I can tell you like honestly how I feel about this, because if you were a senior, I would be like being a bit of a dickhead by telling you different things. So you mind reading real quick? Okay, thanks. So you can put your video on, that's fine. And so get into Two Sigma. Why I said like, oh, if you're a senior, it might be tougher, because like it's a bit of a long process, right? Like getting to Two Sigma, I would say is like very, for me, like I don't mean to toot my own horn, but I would say it's very difficult. And so it's like a 3-year step process. Like there's no way you can just, some people can, but I can't. I can't just one shot Two Sigma, right? I can't just like no internship, no prior experience, and just be like, oh, by the way, like I'm gonna get into Two Sigma. Like I don't think that's very realistic for myself. And so it starts very early. So you gotta build your way up. I mean, like it's hard to balance like being satisfied and like wanting more, because it's like you can easily become very unhappy if you don't like achieve what you want, but like at least like try your best. So first my journey was like freshman year, no internship. I was a RA in the summer, and I was just like, alright, whatever. Like freshman year, like I don't think anybody needs to get it. Like right now, that's what I'm saying. Like before, I was like, okay, like man, like some people got internships, whatever. Like it really doesn't matter. Like I would say the only one that actually matters is your junior year. And so I was making YouTube videos at that time, and completely unrelated. I don't know, maybe if you don't get an internship, to do something that you would do for free. And then sophomore year, I interned at Capital One, so like that was great. And then after that, I interned at IMC, so like that was like in my opinion, like I don't know, they paid more or whatever. And then after that, like with that background, I think I had a better shot at getting to Two Sigma, right? So, okay, I guess after that I interned at Coinbase, and then I went to Two Sigma. So yeah, it's like more experience, but pretty much what I'm trying to tell you is that it's not like it's not an instant thing. Like you gotta build your way up. Some people can just skip it, but like I said, I'd say most people need to build their way up. So just try to like do the best you can every summer, and then you probably get to a point where it makes sense for you to get into it. And in terms of like interview prep, I made a video about it, so you can just search up like coding interview prep, and that should tell you a lot. I have a guide as well of what exactly what to do. It's like half behavioral, half technical. Definitely grind code. For quant, I think there's like a quant version of LeetCode that you should do. And okay, my advice for everybody doing interviews is like, you should. Okay, 2 things. I'm not going on a crazy tangent again. Okay, so the first one is that opportunities are given. Like, imagine you're at a bus stop, right? The bus is always gonna come. 61A is always gonna come. You always can count on it coming, but it's gonna be late sometimes. Maybe sometimes it skips, but eventually you know the bus is going to come, right? And the only way you get on the bus is with your bus ticket. I guess now it's like different, whatever. You have your ID, right? Imagine you just have to pay for the bus every time. Okay, so the bus is out of your control. Like when it comes, it's out of your control. These are like interviews, right? They come and maybe you get an interview, maybe you don't. Like this is out of your control. But what is in your control is buying this bus ticket, right? So this bus ticket is like your preparation. And so, like, yeah, like don't worry about getting interviews. Don't worry about like, oh, this person is gonna reply me. I'm gonna check my email every minute because I really want this application to come back. It's like don't waste any time focusing on that. Just focus on your preparation, and then eventually the bus is gonna come and it's gonna be so obvious that you should be on the bus or whatever because you have the ticket. Then I forgot what else I was gonna say, but we have a special guest.
Yo!
Okay, next question for Pan.
Answering question. I'm about to go on a walk.
Alright. No, you get the next question.
Pan.
Oh, what's up, Jay?
Hi. Do you have any questions for Pan? That's all. I'll have the question.
Oh, yo, the person leaving, get him a sticker. You gotta put on your laptop. Okay, it's like, okay,
Go ahead.
okay. So, I hope you guys are somewhat inspired. Like, I'll go on for a bit more, but get that I put a sticker on his computer, and all you guys are it helps a lot. But we are open source, and like you can contribute if you want. There's like great experience that you guys can talk with me and Pan, we can like help you through whatever ticket that you guys are working on. Not only that, is that we have this thing called bounties. So if you want to do this like ticket, you get to learn and you get paid because we have like if you solve it successfully or even have like a worthy attempt that like you did like pretty good, we'll pay you. And hopefully that incentivizes you. Like I said, you remember you should do things that you should do for free. So like that is also another thing you should like listen. If you like are actually compelled to do it, you should definitely do it. And yeah, like we can all build the best code editor together. I yapped them like crazy about something.
That's good.
Yeah. Okay, next question. Sorry.
Okay, so I'm wondering what should your mindset be about entering a space that already has like competitors? Do you avoid them or what do you do?
Yeah, I can help answer that. I imagine it would be similar to what Nan would say. So I think it's a great thing to enter a space with competitors. In fact, if you enter a space with no competitors, you should be worried. Like, why is there no one already doing this? Is there a market for this or not? So it's actually, maybe counterintuitive, but it's actually easier if you enter a space where there are already competitors. Because that proves there's a market, okay? And it's like, one of the hardest part is getting like product market fit is like, would anyone even use this thing you're building? Right? That's like a question you ask yourself. And if you're building something that already other people are building, and there are other people who use that sort of thing, you already know there is product market fit on the market for this type of idea, right? So then, what you really have to do is just make improvements of the existing products. So there's actually a saying, what's the saying? It's called proven better new. Yeah, well, exactly. That's the exact saying by this Zynga founder of Zynga. Proven means there's existing market, especially like mature markets that are like, kind of like falling off or slowing down. Those are like super nice to tackle because it's just so easy to find how to improve on existing markets that are like mature and old. So if you find a mature market with existing competitors, you just have to make like one or two things better, like one or two big things better, or like
a couple like small things better. You know, just find out whatever it is that is your edge, right? Let's say you use a product and you're like, well, this thing obviously sucks. Why is no one doing anything about this? Well, there's an answer to that is because, you know, it's probably because it's Microsoft and everyone was working like 2 hours a day, so nobody's doing shit, right? So they're not gonna fix it. And you can be that guy who, you know what's wrong and you can fix it, you know, whatever your edge is, your insight is. And then if you just add like one new thing to that, right? If you improve on like 1 or 2, 3 existing things, and you add just one small new thing to it, you have a really good product. Like there are people who are going to use the product over competitors, right? If you just have like some of those factors in. So I would say competitors is good. Yes.
Awesome. Are you available?
Yeah, sure. One more.
Okay, one more. Last question.
Wait, hi, I asked Ning a similar question. I know you gave up on the prestigious job to. So what was your thought process going into that? And also, I'm 5'6", and how can I be fixed by like?
You need to reincarnate yourself. But good question. I think for me, I already have a lot of experience. Like I did like 4 internships. I did like I think 2 years of full-time experience. So it's like when you're at the internship stage, it might feel like everything is like the end of the world if you don't get this internship or something. But it's like all you guys are went to better. CMU is a better school than the school I went to. Nobody knows what school I went to. It's a small school in Canada. So it's not, all of you guys are gonna get good jobs, right? And you'll find out that after like a year at your job, like you have a lot of experience. Like even after just a year or a year and a half, like you will have, you will feel like you have a lot more experience than a lot of like the new people on the market. And it's just like, it's not that impossible to get another job, right? It's like you quit a job, it doesn't mean like it's the end of the world. And especially if you're doing startups, you are actually gaining even more experience. So it can only be good for you. And let's say if you find out after a year that this is not what you're going to do, you can always just go back. And it's something, I guess, like I'm not like it takes some perspective to realize that you guys, I don't know how old you guys are, like around like 20, maybe oldest 23. It's like a year or 2 in your life when you're like 23 or 24, 25. It's like it literally it doesn't matter. Like like you only can gain from it. It's just experience. Like before I did computer science, like I was like an actor in China for a year and a half. And then I started computer science at like 20 years old. Like I did my degree at 20, and I graduated at like 23. And dude, like it's so chill. Like, and I just have a bunch of other experience that is like insane. And it gives me like a really cool story to tell everyone I meet. And it actually just separates me from the mold. So I would say when you do things that are considered risky, if you just work hard, it's actually not risky. Like at the end of it, you get like you get lore, you get character experience, you level up. Ways that most people just follow the same path, and that's how you become unique. That's how you get unique insights to build startups, you get secrets. So yeah.
Go. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time.
All right, peace out, man. I hope you're well.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, I honestly, I don't mean to glaze, and I got lucky on the co-founder. He's good. Okay, yeah, it's 3:10. I don't want to take too much of you guys' time. Maybe if anybody has a burning question, you guys can just can have it. I don't know, like raise your hand if you have a burning question. If you're tired of this stuff, go back to the
Thanks so much for